Hi, I'm going to show you today how to make a simple country boule. Now I have another video that I've done on this kind of bread, and this one comes out a little bit better and it rises higher and it's a little firmer, but it does require a few more steps. It's not quite as convenient, but it comes out very good and I think you're going to love it. We start by adding some warm water to a bowl. Then we add some yeast, some salt, and I like to add a little bit of molasses. It gives the bread a kind of golden color. You can leave out the molasses though if you don't want the sugar. Then we stir well. I like to use the dome because it has such a wide surface and it really does it very quickly. Now it's time to add our flour. This is all-purpose flour, but you could use bread flour, or you could substitute in a cup or two of whole wheat flour. But if you do, add a little bit more water, and then stir it well, and scrape all the flour into the mix. So we're going to autolyze the bread, and what that means is we've given it the water and we're going to let it stand for 15 minutes. This helps the gluten form right away and builds a good structure to the bread, and you only have to knead for less than a minute. I like to use the dome because it spreads it out and creates nice alignment of all the gluten fibers. And you do it in a radial direction by turning the bowl. And really you only have to do about a dozen spreadings. And once we're finished with that, you scrape the dough into the center of the bowl where we're going to leave it to proof for 45 minutes. Cover it with wrap so it doesn't form a skin. Then after 45 minutes, we stretch and fold the dough. And this also adds height to the final bread because it creates more opportunities for the gluten bonds to form. So the bread can stack up higher. You're literally stacking up the dough so it will be a higher rising loaf. And cover it with wrap again. Let it proof for 45 minutes and then do a second round of stretching and folding. The dome is a good tool to use because it really can stretch it out pretty easily. But you can do this with your hands. You just want to try to slowly stretch it and fold it over. Then proof some more. After 30 minutes, it's time to shape the dough. Put some flour on a work surface and scrape the dough out of the bowl. You also want to have some flour on your hands too when you're working with the dough. Then turn it into a ball shape by grabbing a section of dough and folding it to the center, going around in a circle until it's kind of a more spherical shape. And then to really improve oven spring, create tension on the top surface of the dough by pulling the dough underneath. This makes it a tighter top, and it's like an elastic band that really can expand in the oven. Then place it on a baking pan you're actually going to use for baking it. Put some parchment paper down or dust it with cornmeal and let it rise until doubled. Then when you sense it's about ready to bake, preheat your oven and bake according to these directions. And your kitchen is going to smell great. And there it is, the beautiful loaf. It rose so high and it's got that golden color and delicious. Now if you prefer to shape your dough in a banneton, it's a little easier, but it does run the risk of the dough sticking to it. So make sure you use a lot of flour. And again, we scrape the dough out of the bowl onto a floured surface and flour our hands, and then shape it into a ball by taking the sections of dough, going around in a circle, and pulling the dough toward the center. And then we're going to place it in the banneton top side down and let it proof for, it's going to be more than an hour, usually, depending upon the temperature. But let it rise until it overtops the banneton. And you can cover it with these covers that come with them. Then preheat your oven and place some cornmeal, or you can use parchment paper again, on the baking pan. Ease the dough out of the banneton by kind of giving it a little shake, and then bake it. And here's how it turns out. Very nice, polished looking loaf. Now, if you only have time to make a very simple loaf, you can leave out the stretching and folding steps and just autolyze the dough, knead it for about a dozen strokes, and then let it proof for at least 2 hours. And you can watch my other video on this kind of bread called How to Make a Simple Boule, which does leave out the stretching and folding steps. Thanks for watching.